and welcome to this episode of Esports Connected. I am still your host, Megan Van Petten, and today we have such a special guest from Indianapolis, and he's here to talk about ggCircuit. Ben Traub, say hello.
Hello.
Very good.
I did it.
You did it. Here
Yeah.
we are. I'm so excited to have you as our first guest all the way from our Esports Next 2025 this year. Thank you.
Yeah. Fantastic event. Really fantastic. I did make the mistake of showing up day one wearing black jeans in 92-degree Dallas weather. So learned my lesson, but made some really great connections.
Oh
Thanks for
yeah.
having us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We're so glad you joined us this year. It was your first.
Absolutely. So we've been kind of quiet the last few years at ggCircuit, just trying to build the product and make sure we've got the right team in place. And I've been working on a couple of specific sales initiatives that I think are going to really do well in the next couple of years. So we wanted to make sure that everything was nice and clean and that we could kind of speak to a reality, not just concepts. So yeah, it was really great to be there and like I said, meet a few people. I met a guy in Dallas that I found out lives 3 blocks away from me. So it's esports is a small world.
It really is. And, if you look at every industry, I've done industry association management for so long,
Mhm.
it really does comprise of a tight group of people. And it's really the best of the best because when you're up to something and you're here to stay, you join an association. You want
Mhm.
to get out there and you want
Mhm.
to meet with the committed members of community and the influencers, and that's really cool. I'm gonna have to make it over to Indiana uh
Yeah.
and revisit. I haven't been there for a minute, but it was an old stomping ground for me. Even the Indy 500 last week. I mean, I used to love Carb Day.
I always skipped carb day, but I will say if you want to go back to the footage, we did race Oscar Mayer Wiener cars this year. So as much as people think that AI is taking over the world, there's still the human ingenuity to run cars that have a top speed of 60 miles per hour that are in the shape of hot dogs around a 2.5 mile track. So
Ben, you're
still fun.
hilarious. You're hilarious. And the whole vibe of the company is fun. Who wouldn't
These are
hire?
video, or we're sorry, we're not talking about video games.
Oh, wait, we could talk about video games. We could talk about whatever you want. It's your show.
Yeah, it's yes, video games are part of it. It's everything that surrounds the digital uh, economy of video games, but at the core, I mean, we're talking about games. So we try to, I mean, part of it is having fun. It's
It
not
really
all of
is.
it, but part of it is having fun. So everyone should have some fun every once in a while.
People that play together stay together, right?
Amen.
I read in the show notes that um one of your first experiences of gaming was your sister winning.
Yeah,
I
so
love that.
my dad had an Odyssey. I'm very much dating myself with that. My dad had an Odyssey and connected to his TV, and I would be able to beat my brother, no problem. And then I have one younger brother, a year and 3 months apart, so we were close. And then two older sisters, about 4 years apart. Yeah, once they started beating me, I was like, maybe video games is a girl's thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, uh, but yeah, being beaten isn't fun. No one likes to lose, but everyone should like to compete every once in a while. So.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience. I was just not good. And I'm dating myself as well. When I never saw my initials as a ranking
Mm,
player
yeah.
ever, ever. I would go wherever I would go. I had
Mm,
two brothers with JVP and one brother with TVP. And no matter
mm,
where I would be, it would be JVP, TVP, JVP, JVP, JVP. Never once, never did I see it.
never an MVP that was you. Someone else
Never.
couldn't
I
do.
I just wasn't, I was better at the board games. I was really good at Monopoly.
Yeah.
Um, actually phenomenal at chess.
Mm,
Um, don't even remember learning how to play them. But video
mm.
games just so I don't really I don't really think um it's a gender specific. Well, for
Oh
me it
God.
wasn't. I just wasn't good. And
Yeah. Well, different games, different concepts, different ways
totally.
to play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my wife and I are tabletop gamers. She played Warhammer and painted figures, and I was more of like a Monopoly and chess guy. And my daughter's been learning chess the last few years. Will destroy my wife at it. So, I mean, but she's also like playing like, Animal Crossing and Hogwarts Legacy and Minecraft, as any kid should be doing these days. So, um, and my wife just wants to play two dots. So it's fine. Different games, different concepts, different approaches for different people.
You know, I'm able to look at something and think about the end a lot. I'm able to like strategize and think, so if we did that, this might happen. Or if we did that, this might happen. And I truly believe, and I have no evidence to support it, that my growing up playing chess had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I mentioned before, like I went to school for printmaking. And most artists, I mean, I wanted to be an artist. I still can be, and I am in a way, but most artists are not very talented. They're not very gifted people, but what they do have is work ethic and a process.
Mhm.
And I think that's the only way anything really gets made, especially if we're talking about esports. Um, there is no, it's still a very plastic and malleable marketplace where like how you put a team together successfully is still different, or we would only have one team, right? How games are played is different. Otherwise, we would just have one team. But everyone's got their own process and their own talents that they bring to it, but it's not talent by itself. A game does not make itself, right? A painting does not paint itself. So yeah, that process of being able to see the end in chess, very important because you've got to stay a few steps ahead, but always be flexible because not everyone's plans work out the way they should, right?
100%. Um, yeah, yeah. In my family, the chess ranking is something competitive. And
Nice.
you know, if I were to be able to measure my own success, because I was improving when I was playing video games, I liked racing.
Hmm.
I was improving, but I could never win. So it was just it like I didn't like losing. I mean, there were
Yeah.
certain things I just simply couldn't play against my brother. And vice versa. There were things that weren't interesting to him. But now being that you can mark your progress with apps and all certain ways, it makes such a difference because um I guess, yeah, who likes to lose? Especially when you're a child and you can't figure out like swimming. I just didn't have the physical strength that my brothers had, so I couldn't compete as easily in our
Mm.
laps, you know.
Well, I think that kind of traditional sports model of like talent and grit, as I want to say, uh, absolutely applies to esports as well. I mean, there's a reason why the best of the best is still a very small group of people for a game that millions and hundreds of millions of people play, right?
Yeah,
So you can go to any major city and they'll have a basketball court. How many people are actually playing professionally? You can go to any major city and how many LAN centers are there with how many computers and how many mice and keyboards and headsets, but how many people are actually competing at that level? So it's really just just getting to that apex. And some people fall off and say, okay, no, I'm as good as I am and I want to have fun. And other people have that drive and say, I need to be the best, or at least be recognized as one of the best, right?
totally.
Which in itself can kind of twist why someone's playing or make them play for too long. But again, we're talking about games here. We can get into the psyche of, the greatest competitors and the greatest winners, but I think more often than not, they usually say, I'm having fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Following your passion. I
Yeah.
mean, it like I feel like when I was younger, I remember specifically getting tested for the IQ tests, and I needed to work on this, and this to
Hmm.
improve to measure out. Where now it's different. Now, when you take an IQ test, they say, well, you excelled here, here, and here. Let's keep you in those lanes.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It's so different. So the new way of learning, being mentoring is you're great at this, stay in that lane and keep going.
Hmm. Because I think, and I'll be the bummer and say like, well, you're eventually going to find disappointment if you don't hit
Exactly.
that apex of that thing that you want, which I think is like one of the best ways to learn. Best way to learn is to fail at something, not to just be told you're the best at something. But I've got an 11-year-old daughter, showed very early on the ability to do math at a much higher grade level than possible. Does that mean she doesn't like Taylor Swift? No. Does that nerd her out so that she doesn't, dye her hair purple and green? No. I mean, it's finding that way to enhance the things that we're good at, that I think is uh, setting people up for failure in a good way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
of
Because
course.
it sounds horrible. We're setting everybody up to fail, but I think in a really good way.
Even in our post mortem this week, we talked about where we could have made changes. And, as long as we're learning, we're really not failing. It's just a class, right?
Right, right.
Every time we do Esports Next, it's different. It's alongside a different event.
Mhm.
And this year we learned that we want to have less sessions. Our sessions were so good, but it was such a long
It was,
day,
yeah, but they were right next to one another. Yeah,
back to back,
yeah.
so people like they needed some breathing room, they needed more movement. So,
Mm.
we want to integrate a little more. And it's just so fun. Esports too is like, I feel like it's a safer space. It's an educated community that's so
Hmm.
inclusive and kind and open. Like, I've worked in over 20 different industries, managing societies and associations and clubs. And this is probably, and maybe I'm just wiser. Maybe I see it better,
Yeah.
but this is this is the best community that I've ever worked in. I I I love this. I love this community.
Yeah. And I've been welcomed in it. I mean, I come from arts and nonprofit and a punk rock background where it's one of the tenets is you must accept. You may not like it, but you must accept. And that's changed here in the last couple of years as well. And we're not going to get into politics, um, but the inclusivity of just seeing influencers and professional gamers and streamers
Yeah.
like it's like who was there at DreamHack? Grandpa and grandma gamers. And
Yeah.
then but like I follow like Sasky on TikTok, and it's just like, okay, we've got these old white guys and these young women, and they're playing the same game, right?
I
There's
know
nothing
it's
to
cool.
say that that should happen. We're playing a military shoot 'em game. But no, at the same time, it's these people from completely different generations, like 3 generations removed, playing the same thing. So yeah, I absolutely agree. It's the most inclusive thing. The great
It
thing
really
is that, I
is.
mean, it is faceless, right? It is skill and having fun and camaraderie and not, what's wrong with your foot or why'd you cut your hair like that?
Yeah,
Let's play a game.
totally. I probably heard that the most. I'm on my way to go see Tactile Grandma. I'm like, see, I think I did. I mean, it was a DreamHack was amazing. I've been to DreamHack so many
Walters.
times. It seemed like the biggest, best this year that I've
Yeah.
seen. Um,
Maybe it was because I was walking around in black jeans on my 90-degree day, but I was just kind of like
love
keep
that.
walking and there's more stuff, there's more stuff, there's more stuff. So it was pretty good. Like it's always fun because I'm in Indianapolis where they have Gen Con and it's always like, oh, like the vendors and the games in there, it's a little bit too much.
Yeah,
But I think I mean, not only was it a great compliment to your conference, uh, I think it was really well done, and I really liked that like they were literally across the street from each other. So
right. Through the attached
yeah,
through the walkway from the Omni to the convention center. I was just thinking the very first Star Wars convention I was ever at was in Indianapolis. Do they still
okay,
do it there?
wow. I have not been to one.
Oh, that was really cool.
Okay,
When it's your first,
what's
you know,
my first?
no, that was
Uh,
my
was it
first
like
yeah.
A New Hope. My dad took me when it was being re-released, and he sat me down in a theater seat in a theater on the east side of Indianapolis at the age of 3 and said, "We're going to watch this movie."
Wow.
Yeah. And then just finished Andor last week. So, we've got and then we've talked about this, but it hasn't come up. I've got a German wife, and then my brother-in-law who's German, we'll see each other once a year, and there's always this new Star Wars thing to talk about. So I really like how that brings us
Do
together as
you
well.
like that German bar? That's my favorite bar in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the Rathskeller,
I love the
back of the
Rathskeller.
Athenaeum that my great great grandfather helped build. Indianapolis has got a fantastic German history, but yeah, the
I didn't
Rathskeller is
know
a good
that.
time.
Uh,
Rathskeller is a really good time.
that might be my favorite bar in the world. You just
It's
feel,
deservedly one of the best. So yeah, yeah, good.
yeah, you're just right there in Germany when you're in that bar. And then the outdoor music venues.
Oh man, the Shell, yeah,
Oh, just doesn't
from
get
another
better.
time.
Totally, totally. Indiana is a really special place.
I
Speaking
agree.
of special, let's talk biz.
Cool
So,
stuff happens in Indiana, duh, right?
oh, it really does. I'm a big fan. ggCircuit, the name. Should we start with that?
I wasn't one of the founders, so I can't explain it, but I think
Yeah,
it
where are
speaks for
those founders?
itself. So
Right.
we'll just do a quick history because I think it kind
Let's
of
do it,
lends itself
please.
to the name.
Totally.
So Zach Johnson, founder of the company, youth minister, and I'm going to blast through this because I'm in sales mode.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Youth minister, some of his guys came up and said Sunday. I mean, a lot of us remember Sunday Night Youth Group. Couple of his dudes said, "Hey, can we have a Halo party?" And Zach was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." In a couple of months, 8 kids turned into 80 kids. Zach's finishing up at Rose, or he's done at Rose Holman already. He's into engineering and this cool thing called the internet. Opens a LAN center um, called eBash, which I think is fantastic because there's always that
Yeah,
competition, but it's also electronic. So he finds that there's too many launchers. He needs a point of sale system. He needs security. He needs a way to like share licenses. All of the things that we kind of take for granted in gaming now.
yeah,
And he got some smart people to kind of put it all together, including himself. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
so that was out of Terre Haute, Indiana, and then yeah, that's 17 years ago, I think. And now we're on every continent except for Antarctica. So because you need a decent signal to play esports, you can't VLAN it all the time. But yeah, so out of Terre Haute, like I'm in Indianapolis, my boss is in Austin, his boss is in Toronto, one guy's in New York, our other guy's in Riverside, our system architect is in Spain. Our director of support, Jacob Pitcher. If anybody is lucky enough to ever be in a meeting with Jacob Pitcher, you're welcome. He is our director of support. He comes from an educational background as well. He lives in Fort Wayne, so I mean it's still very indie centric. Our spec ops team is still out of Terre Haute. But yeah, esports is not regional. It is international. So we've been growing the company forever and want to continue to do so. So it
And
started out as that kind of like land center experience, but then uh, um, they also would do not roving, but they would help set up tourneys, right?
yeah,
You get some network guys that know how to plug computers together for people to play games on that's better than most people, right? So tournaments, gaming circuits, etc. And they had a lot of luck and fun doing that. In that era of the market and the scene that we're in, and then it kind of just changed a little bit. So um, it's there's nothing wrong with doing that, especially on the smallest scale possible, right? So like I had band practice last night. I was rehearsing some songs for a show coming up, and I don't, we're not getting signed to Sony or anything with this show, but we're playing and we're having fun with our friends. I don't have someone who's playing Rocket League or sees a kid playing Rocket League being like, all right, are you going to be at the finals? Right? It's just the same way that people don't see my band playing and saying, well, why aren't you playing Madison Square Garden? It's like, just fix it. So anyone that wants to do small scale tournaments and stuff like that, it's part of the whole show. It's fun, and that's how people learn. We were talking earlier, you learn from failure. And ggCircuit absolutely had some failures in the past that helped us all learn. So yeah, and now
talk
we're here
about
today.
some of the challenging lessons that you guys had.
Networking,
Mm,
um, licensing,
yeah.
just where the technology is at any given time. Right. So we have a hardware component to our total management solution that requires an on-premises server for an image to be streamed off of. And I sent someone the specs and they were like, where's the Bluetooth? And I went, you don't need Bluetooth for esports. And they're like, well, it should have it. So as much as there are the limitations between the technology, there's also the limitations in what people expect something
Mhm.
to do. So I think we've navigated those as well as perceptions of what a company should provide. Um, we still have people saying like, I want to buy all your games. Well, we don't facilitate that, sorry. But we can help you learn how to do that and make titles available to people. Um, and it'll still help your business or help your school and help coaching and student development. Um, so I keep on going back to the words plastic and malleable. That's kind of how the business needs you to be in order to just continue living, but also to provide a really great product for as many people as possible to enjoy.
Nice. So are the days of computer to computer to computer over?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a grueling, I see them setting up the land centers at the different events I'm at. And so one stop, you're
Yeah.
laughing.
What was it? It was the NACE finals down in Orlando, and it was like 100 PCs in a room, and it could have easily been very warm, but like every two lines of tables, there's just a giant switch. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is yeah, it still needs to be done. There still needs to be process lightings and admin lights. Yeah, I mean it's gotta as fast as we move forward, we're not moving fast enough for some. I used to have this long-winded thing about how you don't need to have the most high-end machine to run video games these days because the Kurzweilian idea of the singularity that's going to be here sooner, or maybe it has already happened, like that we're all going to turn into nanobyte goo or something. That there's still not, there's no title out there that's pushing machines and it's just melting processors. Uh, but we are past that machine to machine to machine to machine necessity. And thank goodness, because that would just really stink.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people realize what goes into that and the time every single time
Mm,
setting up and taking down and updating and just
yep,
hardware, hardware, hardware.
yep,
Yeah. So
yep.
that's amazing.
But then it goes to just like setting up tables, setting up chairs, putting up a
True.
poster, making sure
Yeah.
there's drinks,
Yeah.
right? AI is not going to do that for you.
Right.
No way it can.
I love I love the technological industry that we're in,
Mhm.
but boy, getting together, you know, th-
Fun,
so fun. So
fun.
special. Like priceless.
Yep. Yep. Seeing different how people eat sandwiches. It sounds weird, but like, you put a sandwich bar in front of people and you've got a lot of different approaches. Like I saw a lady put ketchup on a turkey sandwich and takes
I know
all
who it
kinds.
was. I know who it was. I saw her
Okay,
too.
then we'll talk about it offline. I just
I
seen.
know.
Oh,
I
sorry.
know. And she's hilarious. She's like, I put ketchup on everything.
Okay.
She owned her herself.
If you like the flavor, that's good.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah. But no, yeah, getting together
You just have
here
to
in
keep her
April, working on
out of the baseball fields here. No ketchup.
gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, no true Chicago dog should have much more red on it than a couple of peppers, you know.
That's right. That's right. That's hilarious. Yeah, there's nothing like breaking bread.
Hmm.
I mean, really, if we just go back to the basics, we really shouldn't be eating alone.
No, no, we really shouldn't. And that's why I liked just sitting down at a table. And just putzing around with people. At the conference, a quick aside, I was talking to someone. They're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I've got this esports center management software." And she was like, "Oh, tell me more." So I did a quick 5 minute run around. And she was like, "Oh," and then I was like, "Can we talk some more?" And she was like, "Oh, I've got to go be on a panel." So I was like, okay. And then it ended up being that I've already been in talks with their cybersecurity people. And so just
Isn't it
just
fun?
knowing the end user,
Yeah,
that's so big. I've
it
been selling
is.
software for a long time. Just knowing who the end user is going to be, it just makes it much more palatable of a career in sales rather than just selling widgets to nobody, right?
I don't know how salesmen sell without being part of an association. I tell every student, if we're not your association, go find one because it's
Mhm.
just going to make your life so much easier.
Yep.
There's going to be 200 to 400 businesses with 10 to 15,000 people
Yep.
and get to know those businesses and those people. And the
No
decision
matter how
makers.
much money your company is spending on leads,
Yeah,
to be able to pick up a magazine and be like, how did they miss this one? How did they miss? Oh, I know that person. Why would Hey, there you got a copy right there.
I do. Did you bring one home?
Oh yeah, it's upstairs. Oh, I read it during dinner.
It's
I
it's
just go
really
through
the
the I
goal.
go through the list of people and I'm like, okay, customer, need to
Yes,
talk to them, need to talk to them, customer, need to talk to them. So
it's
yeah, no, it's there's a reason the associations exist. Outside of sales, just being able to talk to other people about networking, uh,
yeah.
coaching. My brother runs a podcast for umpires because he does that in his spare
Oh,
time.
cool.
Yeah, you need to have some sort of way to share information. Uh,
Yeah.
so we're excited to be in the association. We've barely dipped our toes in it in the last couple of weeks since we just were onboarded. But yeah, I don't know how people don't. And if they're not, they're just hurting themselves by not trying something, right?
Right, right. And if Esports Trade Association isn't for you, there's others. There's, gaming associations, there's probably research associations or players associations. This is, the one
But
that
you need to be able to find about those through an association, right?
that's
And
true
that's the
too.
thing. It's like that's what makes this so punk rock. Esports is in my brain is like super. It is underground music to me because there are bands that I'm learning about in 2005 that blow me away, and they're from 1982. And I'm like, how do I not know about this? It's because you weren't
Wow.
looking in the right place, right? I'm not gonna. go through a record store and listen to everything I flip through. The algorithm is helpful, of course, but when it comes to businesses or creating that sense of community or that can like you need some sort of direction arrow. Um,
100%.
and I think that the trade association is definitely going to be helpful to us for that.
Yeah, it's such a gift. It it would make it impossible for me to ever retire because it's just I love what I do.
You
Um,
will. You
yeah,
will.
you think? I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. This has been so involving. It's been so rewarding. So you're also a professional musician. You've traveled all around the world.
Mhm.
And let's hear a little bit about that. How did that happen for you?
Growing up, no one wanted to play drums, so I taught myself how to do that and played in a couple of bands in college. Was asked to be a touring drummer for a Midwest screamo band. First wave, none of that mall stuff. But yeah, went to Europe, 14 countries in 32 days, and met my wife there. She was actually at our second show. I had gotten a very bad haircut in Philadelphia. She had just finished her studies at Vidal Sassoon London and spoke English, and so it was just
Perfect.
perfect. I said, "Can you fix this? Not this. This is a pretty okay haircut."
Yeah, this is okay.
Comparatively.
Yes.
But she's like, "Oh, you're headlining that fest in a couple of days." And I was like, "Headlining? Okay, cool." So, met her a couple days later, just started hopping the pond, hanging out with each other. She came here to get her master's degree in sociology. Um, I kept on going out on little stints, little tours, and then after one, she was like, "I don't want you to tour anymore." I said, "Okay, well, let's have a kid." So that's where we're at now. Married, and she's a U.S. citizen. My daughter's got dual citizenship. It's but playing music, yeah. Grew up playing drums, which means, of course, I'm an ambient a guitar player now. Released stuff under the name Benjamin Traub, and then all of my other bands, kind of just regional and hyperlocal releases. Not a lot of shows. We're getting older, of course, but that doesn't make me any less creative. So
I've heard Ozzy Osbourne say many times that the drummers are the crazy ones.
yeah,
The drummers. I always
yeah.
think of Phil Collins.
He's he was crazy. Early Genesis is just mind-bogglingly.
It is.
Ugh. I just yeah.
I
So
never
yeah,
met
music's always been a big part of it. I went to art school as well. Art's always been a really big part of it. I really wish there were more there was more variance in the art in the esports industry. Obviously,
Mhm.
we've got, certain distributors and publishers have a certain look, and games should have their own personality. But there's stuff like there's this cat, Ian Chang, who does these kind of like small sovereign universes built on the Unreal Engine. He'll
Oh,
program
cool.
tribes via Unreal Engine and give them a logic path, and they'll create their own society and their own gods and everything. And I'm like, that, conceptually, that's really cool. Like, and he's built that into some gamification. But like Ian Chang, if anyone is walking in DC, the basement of the Hirshhorn, and he had like 8 displays up, and I was like, this looks like the most wild video game I've ever seen.
Oh,
And he was
cool.
just Unreal Engine building religions. It was very strange.
It,
But yeah,
yeah,
I mean, anyone in this business can push the envelope a little further. So, and I can lend that go towards that way in my music as well. Everything's got to be a little extreme or really boring. So,
that's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. I can't even imagine where it will be in a few years. We've in some areas it's maintained, and then in some with AI and everything that's happening, it's wildly inspiring.
Yeah. I think that's really great. One of the topics at the conference just last week was, AI in the space. And I think it's really I think it's fantastic that I hear engineers and my own like uh, professor and scientist friends, like the general public is more bought into AI being the savior or the destruction of humanity, whereas like professors and scientists are like, this still needs people. Like
Oh, for
there's still
sure.
hope. We've got to find our own way into this universe that we've created for ourselves. But like this is not, you can't download a baby.
You
This
can't.
is the joke,
And
but
there's no like creative and like we are the creator.
mhm,
We have the creativity. There's
yeah.
more opportunities than ever to be creative. We
Oh
have
yeah.
that infrastructure to build from. Yeah, so
Mhm.
the art and music and games will be wildly more exciting than
Yeah.
anything we've ever seen.
Yeah, I want it to get better and better and better. I mean, to think like, I mean, not to make it too normy, but to go from like Guitar Hero, which was a paddle and four buttons, to
Yeah.
Guitar Smith, where you're actually like the game is playing guitar. Like,
Yeah.
granted, you should probably just go play the game of playing to five people on a Wednesday night and making $20, but that's a totally different kind of game. But to go from
Yeah.
like four buttons in a bar to like, no, you need to be able to tremolo pick and stuff, that's pushing it forward. And who knows? I don't know that VR is going to really necessarily do that, but the way that we interact and how we play games is needs to get pushed forward, or we're all just going to get left behind.
And it will, and we will, and we won't let that happen.
Um, no,
No,
because we're people.
that's right.
Yeah,
Waking up every morning with fresh enthusiasm
and coffee.
and coffee. Speaking of coffee, you should come to our coffee connection this coming Wednesday. They're great.
Where is it?
It's on Zoom, and we've
Oh,
been doing
okay.
it forever. The
What
first
time?
one
What's
on
the
9 a.m. Central, the first Wednesday of every month, we do a coffee connection and just bring yourself. There's no agenda. It's chill. And that's what we had at the Esports Next as well. We do a coffee connection. This year it was an unstructured, but
Mhm.
sometimes we'll get wildly crazy and do a share and have people get in a circle and introduce themselves. It was just really a nice vibe at this year's coffee connection. I'm not sure if you made it in real life, but I saw John Davidson and we've been hosting them for so long. I was like, let's just let this one roll because it was sometimes you just have to like not disturb the vibe. And then
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to break the eggs to make the cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, if it's an open invite, if I'm caught up on getting invoices out in my email, I mean, we
it's
all
an
drown
open
in that
invite.
stuff, but
And you don't have to be a member. It's for everybody.
oh,
So
even better.
it is. It's so nice because a lot of people thinking of entering the space or have been watching in the fringe, stop by. No, there is no sign up, nothing. You click a
Oh,
Zoom link,
nice.
you don't have to give your name. You don't even have to open your screen. It's just it's a very special tradition we have. The first Wednesday of every month, and you can bring Mara since
She
the
doesn't drink
summer.
coffee, and I don't want her to.
No, not yet, right? Or ever, maybe.
No, she.
I just started to drink coffee during COVID of all times.
Hmm.
I know. I didn't drink it my whole life.
Okay.
I know.
How does it make you feel?
I like it. I like
Okay, good.
coffee. I try to get organic. I try to grind it myself.
Mhm.
It is almost a meal replacement for me. So I don't have to eat and deal with cooking or food or whatever. As soon as I was stuck in by myself and, you know, responsible for meals and all
Yeah.
that, coffee became part of my routine. And yeah, I've been regularly drinking it. How does it make you feel?
Alive. No, but that's really cool that you switched up a routine because like yeah, cooking three meals a day in the same house for a year, it's yeah. A
Yeah.
little bit of the psychoactive um qualities of coffee can make your day a little better. I grew up, I talked about it a little off camera, grew up Catholic, so like cigarettes and coffee before getting to school was kind of important and helped learning. And then
For
as I got
sure.
older, I learned like, yes, it is very bad for you. But studies show that it improves long-term memory retention, and coffee by itself is really fantastic for the heart. It's all that crap that I put into it, you know, the cream and the sugar and the sugar and the sugar and the sugar and the sugar. That's the bad stuff. The coffee itself is fantastic, and there's a reason why it's been, harvested for years and years and years and years and years and will be. Um, but yeah, no, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel dehydrated sometimes too, which is not good.
That's true. It does. That's fair. Yeah, so I'm surprised I haven't gotten off of it. I wouldn't say I'm addicted when I'm taking a long break at Christmas or whatever.
Hmm.
It's not to wake up. It's really like a meal for me.
Hmm.
And it's soothing, and we created coffee connections when I discovered coffee.
Yeah.
I remember early on, my mom, when we would get up in the morning, she would say, "Don't talk to me until I have my cup of coffee." And she meant it. And I was like, wow, I don't want to wake up like that. I want to wake up, naturally and be sunshine. And
A glass of water will do the same thing for your body.
it
I
really
mean,
will.
and
Yeah.
after drinking coffee for 20 years, it was like, no, let's have a glass of water before the coffee. I mean, that really is what wakes the body up. So, were we talking
Well,
about esports or holistic wellness choices in our lives?
so
I'm not
here's
sure.
the whole show is Esports Connected. And what I want to do on the show is help people get introduced to our community, because the community isn't large. Really. The community is, like I said, most communities are 2 to 500, 400
Mhm.
people. So it's just, who are you? And, why are you here? And what do you do when you're not gaming? And what do you game? What do you like gaming? What's your company
People.
doing in the space?
Yeah,
Right.
talking to people, not
Getting
just a
connected.
logo. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a show about how to get connected in esports, and you're hailing all the way from Broad Ripple, which is one of my favorite little villages
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. It's a cute little spot. Founded a small village founded on the banks of the White River, which runs through Indianapolis. Was once host to an amusement park, one of the better amusement parks in central North America. But yeah, it's just a really great place to raise a kid. The housing market, as I'm sure as everywhere else, is just bonkers. And we got in at a good time. Um, I grew up about a mile away from here. My church, grade school, and high school are about a mile away from here. My old office is about 2 miles away from here. One of the first deals I closed with ggCircuit is about a mile away from here. Uh, but you know what? I've been to 16 countries. My wife is dual citizenship. I've got a German-speaking daughter.
Nice.
Um, I can get up and go if need be. Um, and it's not a bad place to be. Politics aside, it's relatively affordable. If you've got vices, they can still be attained. If you want clarity and to be away from people, that's available as well. I think that's what a lot of people kind of mistaken that about the Midwest, is that they think that we're all kind of just like dumb until we go to work, and then we go home and then we're dumb again, right? So it's people that have to see things from a lot of different angles to make it through their day. And I think uh, Indiana, Ohio, basically the Great Lake region of the Midwest is, I mean, you've got weather, you've got hot, hot, and cold, cold. And I think that makes for the kind of people that we want to work with as well, as far as like you could be really hot or you could be really cold.
It's amazing that you guys started out in Terre Haute. So who
Yeah.
is your most ideal client? What's next for you guys?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, our ideal client is like a lot of different. The product itself, three main pieces. I'll go through real quick. ggLeap, the program that runs programs, the client that gets installed onto a PC. If you want to launch games, that's cool. If you want to launch academic stuff, that's cool. The back end of it, you're going to see who was on what machine when, for how long, and what they launched. Pretty straightforward stuff. It's very accessible, very Ronco. Set it and forget it. You don't have to do updates of everything all the time, except for the games, which then is part two, which is ggRock, which is another software with a hardware kicker where instead of going machine to machine to machine to machine to machine to machine to machine, to do those updates because it's Tuesday and there's a new season of Rocket League, or it's Wednesday and there's new skin of Fortnite, da 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 da, or there's a new like 1 gig map for COD. Just update it on the server that ggRock is connected to, and everything gets updated at the same time. So we've got ggLeap, which is kind of the base to make sure that anyone can launch whatever they need to as long as it's installed properly. ggRock, which is the thing to update those things that are being launched, all at the same time. And then we do managed services, which is people internationally getting access to that server to take care of those updates, right? So what I like to say is it's really fantastic that you're a coach or a supporter of esports. Um, you know that this is going to be more work for you, right? But let's not get into the other duties as assigned, right? You signed on to be a coach, to be a mentor, to help people get better, not to update PCs, not to go
Right.
have to politically email your IT manager who might get to the district level person to open up certain ports for Epic to be played just fine, right? It's we'll take care of that stuff for you. You worry about the fun part and the modeling of our next generation part, right? Let's work on strategies and execution, and not worry about you know we've got a Marvel Rivals tourney this weekend, and oh my God, I've got to put it on 15 machines, and we got to pick my kid up from the dentist, right? So so in the real world, that translates to LAN centers, that translates to K through 12, that translates to universities, that translates to in some points tournament people running tournaments. Um, that could be the Esports World Cup. That could be League of Legends international competition. It could be a lot of different people. So one of the cool things that we've done, obviously, in the last few years is we didn't pivot. We've just put in more resources behind our educational outreach. So what would normally between ourselves or our competition would have been like tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. We've been working on an equation for district level pricing, right?
Oh,
So
cool.
a school can always just be an island into itself, right? You've got that one teacher. It's like, I don't have any support from anybody, but I'm still going to make this thing happen, damn it. That's cool. Um, if you get a few layers above that, right? You've got people saying esports isn't going anywhere. It's not a fad. We're not sure if it fits into academics. We're not sure if it fits into athletics, but we know it's here, and we know that we've got 100 kids in every school
Right.
asking for it. So if we can get a network of at least 5 schools in a district, we can help deploy a solution and make it manageable in a cost-effective way that no one else can do. Now, be it there's only like 4 companies in the world that do what we do. But I'd like to say that we do it the best of any of them. So we've got some exciting things as far as, being able to deploy images remotely, like, but at the same time, I'm talking to some people that might want to set up some kiosk gaming stations in a hotel in Sweden, right? Or some really cool guys in Finland that make custom desks, or I got a lead this morning from One person was in Africa and the other one was from Germany. So it's
Awesome.
yeah. So who is our biggest candidate for the use of this product? Like I don't know everybody, but it
Right.
takes all kinds.
Well, there you have it, folks, right from the goat.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining the association.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to Esports Next. Any parting words?
Be nice to one another. Read a book. Drink coffee. Um, and have fun.
Wow, Ben. From a company hailing all the way from Terre Haute, Indiana. And I highly recommend anybody that gets out to Indiana to go to Rathskeller and meet Ben for a German something.
I will buy a Das Boot. I'm
Oh my
usually
gosh.
driving, but they do the big boot, and I'll buy you one. If you find me in the city, we'll get on the bus and we'll go down to the Rathskeller, and I'll buy you a boot.
One of my favorite bars. You've been literally, I think it is my favorite bar in the world. You have been an incredible guest. Love that you guys have joined the association. There's a lot more to hear from Ben. Thank you again for listening to Esports Connected. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank
And
you for having us. Pleasure.
the pleasure is all mine.
Great.
Thank you, Ben.